Welcome to Bleav in Chargers. We got football this week with Lorenzo Neal, Matt Money Smith here. A big thank you to all of you for all you do to keep us rolling and keep us growing. It's been great. The reviews, the ratings, the word of mouth, whether you're doing it and consuming it through YouTube, through the podcast on Bally's West, cannot thank you enough. As football has arrived low, we got 3 preseason games back to back to back, all Saturdays, the 10th and 17th at SoFi, home games for the Chargers. We started off with the Seahawks, followed by the Rams, and then we'll make our way out to Arlington and Jerry World and take on the Cowboys. And we had our first big sort of, I guess, a little bit of a different vibe on Sunday. Lorenzo, it was great to see you out there at the Bolt on the field, all the people screaming and yelling your name, one of the all-time great Chargers, about 1,500 to 2,000 fans, maybe even 3,000. I probably shouldn't tell the fire marshal that, but that's what it looked like to me for the joint practice against the Rams. And we had a great time out there and got to see a lot. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see Justin Herbert, but outside of that, got a lot to take in as we get ready for this first exhibition game.
Oh, no question, man. It was great seeing you, man. We got to hang out. You seen the great Jerry Rice was in the house. You said, hey, Jerry's going to probably show up below. That's going to be good. So Jerry's there. TJ Husmanzaga, a guy that I played with the Cincinnati Bengals, been knowing this guy for years. So you and I and him, took a little photo together. You were the dominant guy in the picture. We had to get you in the middle and, surround you money. So as always, man, it's always great to see and be able to talk ball. But it was long overdue. You see the Chargers and watch the way that the Rams and those, watch those joint practices and just watching guys, both teams just tackle a little different. You're a little bit more aggressive. You get to see things kind of unfold. You get to kind of see, watch who's who, what's going on. So I kind of love these kind of intramural, scrimmage against, other teams because you just get to see a different aspect and see what guys, how they perform, going against other teams.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing the biggest thing that's happened since we last did this is Justin Herbert's in a walking boot. Obviously, that's a huge deal. It's plantar. They're not calling it plantar fasciitis. They're calling it a plantar injury, which suggests that, maybe there's a slight tear in there. We don't know how much. It does not seem, at least from their press release, that they're all that concerned. It's more of just completely preventative. Put him in the boot for 2 weeks, then get him out. Still got enough time to ramp up and get ready for week 1 on the 8th against the Raiders. But he's out there walking around. Monday was a non-padded practice. I was out there, so really not a whole lot outside of what we saw against the Rams. So that's probably what we're going to dig into today, Lo. But if you don't mind, I don't know if you're comfortable doing it or not. We probably should have discussed this before the show. But you mentioned TJ rolled up while you and I were talking and catching up. And he mentioned that you weren't in a text thread that a bunch of the guys from the Bengals were in, and they were telling tales.
Yeah.
Talking about old S and one of their favorite stories when it came to Lo Neal and what you did, what you put on those poor offensive linemen that thought they were all hard and how you humiliated them, how you emasculated them. Lo, do you care to tell that story? You don't have to, you can share names if you want. I got a little lippy with you. Go ahead, share with the people what it's like to be a teammate of Lorenzo Neal.
Hey, Matt, I didn't know where you were going with this. I mean, this is what we got out of a padded practice, the story what TJ was telling. So it's
the highlight of my day. It was the highlight. I'm not kidding. It was the highlight. I had a party that night at a buddy's house, and I told that story, and everybody was howling. Oh, yeah. I showed him the photo, and I was like, just to put it into context, I was like, look, I'm standing next to Lo. You know how small I am in terms of height. I was like, so just imagine, this is what these 6'6" offensive linemen are looking at, and they're like, huh? Really?
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead. Come on. Share it with the people, though.
Absolutely. So, it's crazy. So TJ comes up, me and Matt were talking. He gets me in a full neck and, rear naked choke. He's choking me, and I grab him, and he's like, oh, wait a minute, guys. The reason why I did that is because it's crazy. We're in Cincinnati. I would tell guys that I wrestled, and guys would talk about, man, this guy's pretty tough. He's a wrestler. This is year number, I think, 8 or 9 when I'm in Cincinnati. So I think I'm just an old guy and whatever. So offensive lineman and defensive lineman, and this guy named Nick Lucci. He's about 300 pounds. He's like, and guys were like, look, I know you can wrestle, but I was like, no, but I said, it's different. It's like, me trying to fight Mike Tyson. It'd kill me. It's not, but if I wrestled against Mike Tyson, I'd probably beat him because I was All-American, ranked number 3 in the country. So this guy, they get together, and all these guys said, no way. I'm the first year of Cincinnati. They're like, okay, we know you're a physical blocker, but it's no way. We get a pot probably about $10,000. Guys
10
are betting
grand.
1,000. Oh, you heard my guy.
Oh, yeah.
TJ.
I heard him say 10 grand.
Yeah, everyone was betting, taking odds that this guy, all he had to last, Matt, was 30 seconds.
Without you pinning him.
Yes, without me pinning him and putting him on his back. So everyone's just pouring in. So you know what? I was like, I got a week's salary of checks. You know, I
Right.
that's little party money. So we have a mat in the weight room. So it's during there the whole team, and they coming in there, and it's like, and so I got to switch from being nice guy. Okay, I know this is money. I don't want to lose 10 grand.
Heck no.
I'm betting a lot of guys, so I have to switch that. Click that switch. Like, okay, I got to wrestle. I got to make sure I'm gonna set this guy up and put him down. Everyone comes in there. The strength coach in there. He starts the clock. They said, all right, they put us in our corners,
right,
Matt. So yes, get ready. He starts the clock. So boom, I'm tying up. You don't just rush it because he's going to play defense the whole time. So I get in the front headlock, and I start pushing. So he wants to push back, show that, he's strong, push back, he's aligned. So we just keep going. They're at 20, 18, 19. Boom, I push, he pushed back. I catch him
hip
with
throw.
Arm and head throw. You already know, man. The toss. Boom. I said, what airline you going to fly on? United, Southwest? So he's flying. Boom, lands on his back and just stick him. They go crazy. Everyone's running out of there laughing. They're talking about it at practice the next couple of days. Guess what? I retired. I'm like Paul Bunyan. The story just gets bigger and bigger.
Right.
And I think I pinned him in 5 seconds. That's what
That's what TJ said. TJ's like, I think it was supposed to be 30 seconds. Low had him on the ground in 8 seconds, and it was over. And he was screaming. He said he was on his back like a baby, screaming and yelling, trying to get up. Low was on top of him. Nothing he could do.
It's crazy, Matt, because before I even told the story, you're like, okay, somebody wanted to wrestle this dude. You're like, you already,
bad idea.
Before it even started, you're like, not good.
No, bad idea. You gotta. What did Jim Harbaugh say? Right? What's one of the first things that we remember him saying at his press conference? One of the great things that Jack Harbaugh, his father, instilled in me was when somebody else knows more about something, shut up and listen so you can learn. Hey, when you hear Lorenzo Neal's an All-American wrestler and was number 3 in the nation, I don't give a damn if you're 400 pounds. He's gonna wreck you. And he's gonna wreck you in 15 seconds. That ain't hard. It is not hard. It's all leverage. Man. It's all finger strength.
It was a lot of fun. But I love it, and that's what I love this sport. And just being out there the other day, and that's the thing, Money, that you and I, we laugh, we talk, and you watch once you get back to the field and you start talking to guys, even TJ and different guys and different guys I know. It's just something about the sport. And that's why we love being around it. We love talking about it. We love talking about football. It's that camaraderie. It's those things that you can talk about. Here it is, years later, you and I were laughing about a story that you can relate to. You talked about your story, your short career in wrestling, where you got stuck.
Very short. Very short.
So we have things that we can relate to, even a guy who didn't necessarily play football, but know and respect wrestling like you do, played, did that sport. So it's just great to get out there and have those stories and reminisce with guys like TJ and guys that around the league.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that Coach Harbaugh has put together. You had the Patrick Willis induction into the Hall of Fame, and you saw, like you said, you're talking about 15 years ago when, 10 years ago that these guys are all playing together, and obviously Coach a tremendous amount of respect on that team that he guided to the Super Bowl and NFC Championship first year, second year, and then over to the Super Bowl and all those guys, Navarro Bowman, Deshaun Golson, Jonathan Goodwin, everybody on that plane heading out to support their former teammate and be there for him. You saw how emotional it was. And it speaks to this coaching staff. It's not just the head coach, but it's the staff that you can put together. And when you look at, you mentioned TJ's out there helping out the wide receivers. You're out there kind of walking on the field, and talking to the running backs and the tight ends and the fullbacks, and Jordan McFadden, and Nick Hardwick's out there coaching up the offensive line. He's really I mentioned Navarro Bowman is coaching up the linebackers. You're talking about guys that are all pros, that are all decade. And Nick Hardwick, all decade team. Low Neal, all decade team. Navarro Bowman, back to back, all pros, best linebacker in the game. Like, that's what he's assembled out there, along with these brilliant strategists, these guys that can scheme it up. Greg Roman, who obviously has got a resume that's 50 pages long, helped make Lamar Jackson an MVP in his second year, helped Colin Kaepernick become the most, the toughest weapon to deal with for a 3-year span in the NFL. And Jesse Minter, we saw what he was able to do at Michigan and how they completely dominated college football from the defensive side of things. So that's something that bears watching as
Yeah.
you see these guys getting coached up, because that's what it's all about, right, Lo? It's, you may not have 15 first rounders, going too deep on defense, but whatever you got, if you got good coaches, they can coach them up. And that's certainly something that we're starting to see with a lot of these guys out there.
All right, Matt, you took the words right out of my mouth. You talked about, Yapati, another guy that played for
Mikey
Hardball.
Potty, yeah.
Delaney Walker, another guy who's out there. So when you're talking about these names that you're talking about that not only played the game, but played for under Hardball, and you see here's a guy that brings guys out there. Why? Because he knows iron sharpens iron. He knows also that players respect players, but he knows like the Nick Hardwick, the Yapatis, those guys are out there. The Nick Hardwick, they're going to show guys. And that's what Harbaugh's not afraid of. He has his coaching staff. He knows who his coaches are, and that's why he pays his coaches. But these younger guys that he's training, putting them in a position, the Knicks and, the Yapatis, Delaney, because he knows those guys know how to run routes. See, you can go out and say, hey, look, this is what you do. You run a 4 route or you run a dig. You're going to run that. Now, you can tell them how to do it. But players sometimes, they want to see it. Right. And when you have young coaches that Nick can go out there and say, hey, you put that bucket step in the ground, and now you get hip to hip, and boom, now chop your feet. So Nick actually can demonstrate and show guys, because some coaches, yes, they're great teachers, and they understand, but they can't show. And that's what Harbaugh is doing, and that's what you love when you see a coach that is willing to say, I'm going to bring in former players, but the right former players. The players who that's not going to go against the grain. The players that's not going to be destructive and try to undermine other coaching staff. That's what Harbaugh does. And when you can do that as a coaching staff, I'm telling you, you're going to get better, because usually you're bringing in players that were all pros, like you're talking about, all decade, guys that know the game and were students of their game and of their craft.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's been fun to watch, and I'll get into a couple of the names that really popped in that joint practice, because of this coaching and because of their talent and the combination of the two. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for anything and everything online sports betting. Right now, you can receive a 50% free bet up to $250 on your first deposit to bet on anything from the Olympics to baseball to Formula One racing. It's got every stat, every matchup, live odds, spreads while the games are being played. You can get in on it. When the game's over, get over to that online casino and get in on a game of blackjack, poker. They got 150 slot games. The website today has all the action. So head over there, use the promo code Bleav, BLEAV. That's BLEAV. You get a 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. Bet online. The game starts here. I'll just pick up where you left off there, Lo, and I'll tell you the one name. And this was something I was talking to somebody about the Chargers, and he's someone that's got he's trying to project. He does, I don't even know how to, whatever. Talking to somebody. He's trying to get a vibe on the Chargers and what we think. And sort of, you just said, give me your umbrella. What's the overall assessment? I said, kind of here's the way I look at it, is they have all these guys on 1-year deals that they're taking big swings on. I said it reminds me a ton of the Texans and what they did last year. They got their quarterback, they got their coaching staff. Let's take all these 1-year deals and these guys that have popped before, but maybe there's just an injury issue or they've just had a bad year, and they put them all together, and so many of them pop, like 50% of them ended up coming through. So as I'm looking around and I see JK and I see Gus Edwards on offense, and I see Hayden Hurst, who's coming off a bad year in Carolina, and I see, Will Dissly, who's not really regarded as highly in other offenses as he would be in this. And then I look at the defense, and I see Christian Fulton, and that's the one I'm going to focus on. I see Christian Fulton, who's a second-round pick, heck of a player, just has been dealing with injuries his whole career, never quite just found that rhythm. And I was like, that's what it's all about. If they can get these guys to pop, it's going to be a double-digit win team. I was like, that's what it comes down to. And obviously health. Just take it. You can always say that. I mean, it's a violent game. So yeah, stay healthy. But like, to me, that's what it was. And watching the defense in those joint practices, and really it's sort of been the last week where it's kind of clicked, I think, for Fulton. And he's become comfortable in this Jesse Minter scheme. He looks great. He looks really, really good. And that is something that we talked about at Low in free agency. What's the number one concern you have post draft, post free agency? What was it? It was the secondary. Like,
Right. Right.
I don't know who that other corner is going to be opposite
Right.
Asante Samuel. Well, it's Christian Fulton. And I mean, I got all my notes from the joint practice, and I got the number 7 all over the place. Whether it's tight coverage, PBUs, tips, interceptions, red zone, 2-minute, 7's flashing. And that's going to go a long way when you've got that front and all that pressure coming to have a solid, you have a dominant front, which they have. And boy, we'll get into that from the joint practice. My God. But when you compare that with a ball hawk like Asante, and what looks to be a legit outside corner in Christian Fulton, man, that's very exciting for Jesse Minter and this team.
Oh, no question. Jesse's going to be able to just cut them loose. When you have guys, you have boy dogs on that front that can get after the quarterback, and that's why it's imperative, man. And we talked about it every show, how important it is for the Chargers to have a good run defense to put teams in 3rd and long, 3rd and 5 or more. If you can do that, I'll tell you what, you want to solve a secondary problem, make sure you have a pass rush. You look at the Niners when their heyday, you think about Bosa and all the guys that they had, the younger Bosa, Armstead, Buckner. When you look at those guys and when they can get after the quarterback, you don't know who necessarily tart their corners and secondary. They made those guys millions of dollars because 1001, 1002, 1003, the ball has to be gone. 1, 2, 3, the ground belongs to me. 3, 4, 5, these guys are dipping and diving. When you have a front that get after it like that, the secondary doesn't have to cover for 4 seconds, 5 seconds. And that's why you see a lot of corners, especially in the Niners, you just have guys. It's not that they're great.
Right.
It's because that front four, and like you just alluded to, Jesse Minter is going to have guys, when you got Khalil Mack and you got Bosa, that can keep those guys fresh, and other guys come in and spell, and they play hard against the run, that secondary is going to be fine, like you just alluded to. I was surprised watching that joint practice, but the guys up front, and just watching guys' attention to details, watching guys butt up, hearing guys make those calls, I'm in, you're out, butt up, and squaring guys up. You saw the Chargers, just the technique, the attention to details, that's winning and losing. And you saw that on defense and offense the other day.
Yeah, that's a perfect, a perfect point, an apt description, Low, because that is Daniel Popper, who does a heck of a job on the beat at The Athletic. He and I were standing over there, and after the first series or so with Matthew Stafford, he looked at me and he goes, kind of different when they got a run defense, isn't it? And sure enough, it was Poona Ford, it was Tito, it was Matlock, it was Morgan Fox. All those guys were rotating in and out, and they were stuffing the run. And then when it came time to drop back and pass, I remember I was standing pretty much at the line of scrimmage. I kind of got caught up field a little bit. I like to be a little bit further back to have a better perspective of what's going on.
Sure.
But I kind of got caught, and I ended up hearing the exchange between Sean McVay and Joey Bosa. And Sean with that just very pronounced delivery. Joey, you wrecked it. You wrecked it. That's a good play there, Joey. That's a good play, Joey. Man, you wrecked it. You wrecked it. And that's what Joey Bosa was doing that whole practice, which is why it was such a bummer that he made it all the way through that joint practice. And then basically on like the final series, I didn't see it, but obviously he took some sort of contact to his arm and he ended up grabbing it. Looked like he was in a lot of pain and walked off. We haven't seen him since. So hopefully he's okay. But that's all I got on here. Is just, pressure, Bosa sack, Max sack, pressure, Thule, pressure, Dupree, like they were in the backfield. Now, important to put it in context, the Rams were down 3 offensive linemen. So, you got the ones going up against 3 backups, but still to dominate the way they did. And then you had tip drills, man. Tony Jefferson got a tip, Neiman interception. You had Lowy strip. I don't know. I think it was Corum. He stripped Corum for a fumble. Had another tip with the Denzel Perriman interception. Right after that, Khalil Mack sack. And it's just like, it was just coming in waves.
It was a jailbreak. It was a jailbreak.
Yeah.
You saw the running back catches the ball. They strip it out. They just played with more intensity. Like you said, even you saw the Rams, they had him sack Khalil, like, it's sacked. And they let the ball just go. It picked up 20 yards, but he would have been sacked. So you just saw the timing, the defense, just playing at a different level. and then the Rams. And yeah, we know it's practice and this joint practice, but you want to see attention to details. You want to see guys, and you were down more than I was down in the defense at the end of that practice where I saw a couple of that. But earlier, I was just watching kind of just the offense. And the Rams, when they got in the red zone, the Rams had 2 picks, several picks. It's just tough when you get the short end of the field, especially on the red zone. That's why they call that the scoring zone, the red zone, because you don't have the whole field to work with. Guys can play cover 4, you can play cover 8, where you got 4 on top and 4 on the bottom. So it's got to find those windows, and then you got to worry about the pressure. So you saw the offense struggle. The Chargers offense struggle, especially on the red zone. But like you said, you didn't have Herbert. I get that. But just watching the run game, watching a lot of stuff, you saw the attention to the guys were coming off doubling on the blocks, ace block, trade block, where you have the tackle and guard, acing up, tight end and tackle, traying up to the sandbacker. You saw some great blocking schemes by the Chargers. You see what they want to do. Offensively, you got to see it. It was like, hey, next man up, next back up. But they were trying to really, the offensive line, work on technique. And I thought you saw a good job out of those guys out there on 3rd and 2.
Yeah, and again, for you, I watched maybe one series. It was just kind of one of those, I'm not. It's just so different, and that's the way it's been since Herbert went down. It's just been unfortunate, and that's why I think you saw them go out and sign, Luis Perez, someone that I feel like I talk about. I covered the Alliance of American Football, but so that's why I think they went out, and I was wondering, like, are they going to take a big swing on Tannehill or something along those? Like, are they that concerned? And I think had they made that kind of signing, I would have been a little bit more concerned. But I think this suggests that Justin's probably going to be out all preseason, and so they want that 3rd, 4th quarterback. If Casey Bauman's not it, and they want to just kind of get somebody else in there to get some reps, that's what that signing signals to me, that it's not super freak out time, that we've got to, scratch out a $6-7 million check for Ryan Tannehill or Trevor Siemian for $3-4 million. Let's just bring another body in here to get some reps.
And you know what, Money? I wouldn't be disappointed if they did that. I mean, take a look at the Steelers. You got 2 quarterbacks. One was an All-Pro, but you still have you have to. You never know. Look at the Rams. They go out and they sign Jimmy G.
Right.
You go out and get a guy who's so when you look, Herbert knows that no one's going to take him, and they understand who team is. But it's great if you went out and got a guy that ilk, because it can help. Who helps the young guy? So if you go get a veteran guy, been in 8, 9 years or 10 years, been a starter, and he knows his days are behind him, that helps Herbert tremendously. Right. See, because I'm not threatened by whoever you bring in for Herbert, and I know nor are you. But when you go out and you go bring in a guy, because if the ship goes down, I just don't know I don't know if he can take this team and win 4 or 5 games. I don't know if he could put together a stretch like that.
That's why these preseason games, I think, are incredibly important for Easton Stick. He's great in the room. He's a bright guy. He's a heck of a player, man. Look, for those that don't know, Easton's the guy that followed Carson Wentz and was ahead of Trey Lance, and one of the winningest quarterbacks in the history of college football. I mean, North Dakota State won championships every single year he was there, and he was the quarterback for 2 of them. So, starting quarterback for 2 of them. So he's a great player. It's just last year you saw a little, you just didn't quite see a lot when he was in there for those 4 games. There were some great moments. Unfortunately, he got thrown to the wolves in that game against the Raiders, and I think that may have had a little bit of a lasting effect on him. Not fair for him to be put into that situation. I was really bummed out that was his first start, and that he had to deal with that. So I wonder how much of that had an effect on him. But that's why I'm kind of excited. Like, hey, let's see Easton get out there. Let's play him a full half, or however long coach wants to play him, and give him that opportunity. And Max Duggan's a different, he's certainly someone that, I guess he is similar to Easton, where he ran a lot, just like Easton did at North Dakota State, and that presents more of that. Like, he's not Lamar Jackson, but, more of that, what Greg Roman likes to do. And so it'll be interesting to see kind of how this offense runs through those 2 guys, and then what they'll do with Luis Perez and Casey Bauman as well.
And when you watch him, Sticks, you watch he at times, and that's when I think that could hurt him at times, because you see him sometimes get a little jittery in the pocket, and because he can run, and because he has he can get that turn in a little Lamar Jackson, take off a little early instead of saying, look, I'm going to go through the reads and I'm going to let the ball go. And that's what you want to see. You already know what he can do running the ball. Athletically, like you just alluded to, the guy is very athletic. He can do
Yeah.
amazing things with his feet. We get that. But you want to see him standing there and say, look, I got to let this ball go. I can't just think that I know I can run and get out of trouble, but I think he's got to develop that. And I think that's what they're wanting to see as well, Adam.
Yeah, and beyond. Look, the quarterbacks are going to be backups. It's just a matter of who's going to be on the team, who's going to be on the practice squad. That's is it great? Yeah, but kind of there's some things that you got to be watching on Saturday. Position battles that are going to be important. The one thing I'm just kind of going through all these defensive notes. Derwin, dime backer. When he moved to dime backer, AJ Finley came on as that third safety. We knew that was going to be one of if not the closest, the most important competition, because if Jesse Minter feels good about that third safety, then he can do this. I mean, he had Derwin and Dayon mugging up the A-gaps on a couple of these things. It was fun to watch how he was deploying them. He's rushing off the edge. Like I said, double mug with Dayon in the middle on that in those dime formations with him playing dime backer. And Finley's that guy. And so I think we may see a lot of Finley in that safety role in this preseason game, because it looks as though he has now separated himself from JT Woods, from Tony Jefferson. And that's going to go a long way. I mean, that's what happened in Baltimore, and how Kyle Hamilton, became this Swiss Army knife that, ended up having an all-pro season last year. And that's, very similar to Derwin, where you're a big-ass safety and you can be deployed all over the field, but you got to have that last line of defense and feel good about it so you can do that. And that's why I think in this game on Saturday, 24 is the number you're going to want to keep an eye on, because if AJ Finley has a good game and ends up showing, I can do this, send him where you want to. Week 1, you want to put him on Brock Bowers or Michael Mayer, as the Raiders just, posted their first depth chart, and it came out 12 with both Mayer and Bowers listed as starters and just 2 wide receivers. Get him out there, and now you can trust me back here. I got you, and so that's
and he's
probably
a smart
the
player.
one.
And Finley's a smart player, and that's what, like you were just alluding to. You got a guy on the back end that's going to be smart. That's not going to necessarily take chances. Going to help make sure get guys lined up in the right spot. And when you have guys like that, and now you just alluded to, you can put Derwin down in the box and let this guy eat and let guys. You can take more chances when you do that, man. And that's what you're talking about. The defense, the offensive line, they don't know where they're coming from. And when you do that, you know what you're creating. You're talking about those guys standing up there mugging. They're doing that because you got, Joey Bosa, and yeah, by the way, you got another guy, friggin' Mac. So now you're demanding a one-on-one block. And so now you can't slide protection, you can't turn protection, because Derwin's going to beat your back. And, you got guys, now you're going to have a lot of one-on-one blocks. That's what they're doing. And that's what this defensive coordinator is going to do. He's saying, look, Finley, you're going to be back here. We can put everyone up here. We can mug guys. We're going to make you block somebody one-on-one. And I'm betting on my guys are going to win their one-on-one block, and we're going to create some havoc.
Yeah. And look, the fancy term that kind of showed up last year and everybody was using with Mike Macdonald. It's funny that's who, is the new head coach of Seattle, is going to be coming down, and he and Jesse Minter, who worked together in Baltimore and in Michigan and stuff, are going to be kind of, matching each other, trying to get, it's a preseason game, so you're not going to see a lot, but simulated pressure. That's what everybody talked about, and why that Baltimore defense got rated, because it was a bear for people to deal with all season long. Now you got to have the bodies, you got to have the players, and that's why we're talking about Finley. So you can have Finley be the Geno Stone, Derwin be the Kyle Hamilton from Mike Macdonald's defense last year. And, like you said, simulated pressure. Oh, yeah, they both went. They both came, too. And both Dan and Derwin were back there, and they were back there in a hurry on that alignment. So that's something that I think bears watching. Trying to think of what else we got. It looks like we're not going to see Junior Colson yet. I'm hoping he's going to be ready to be out there by second week. It's just he's still working off to the side, and I think that's unfortunately a bit of a setback, because he's a rookie. When I'm out there, we were talking about him maybe wearing the green dot, and unfortunately, appendicitis, had his appendix removed, just was not able to overcome that. We saw that with Joe Burrow, last year when he had the appendix surgery, and he barely did anything in training camp and in the preseason. So it just knocked him down, playing it safe. And I guess there's an advantage there because he knows the defense so well. So maybe he doesn't need the installation. He doesn't need that part of it. So if he can come back by next week and get out there and continue to grow.
And he's taking a lot of mental reps, too. You know that. He's taking a lot of mental reps. He's in every single meeting. He's still going through walkthroughs. He's out there doing it. You see it, the guy's still able to lift. He's working out. He's in the training room. He's doing his rehab. And you know it, Money. You know, attention to detail. This guy's in the meetings, getting it. And yeah, it's different to going full speed than walk through. We get that, but I think, like you said, he'll be ready. He'll be ready when it's ready, time to go.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the. I'm hoping, because obviously there's a lot of excitement about having him slip to the third round. I'm pulling up the depth chart real quick just to remind myself what else you ought to be on the lookout for on Saturday. Because again, we talked about the outside corners. Looks like Jasir is settled into that slot ahead of Tariq still, but Cam Hart made a nice play with the twos out there when I was watching the Trent practice. He had a nice little tip that led to an interception, a couple pass breakups. So that's something that's exciting. Watch those rookies, the corners, Tarheeb in the slot, Cam on the outside. Trying to think of who else. Oh, we've already talked about our guy. And that comes from, that was one of the questions, by the way, that got asked that Lindsay sent along about Zach Hines. Yeah, we're excited. I think we talked about how that's someone that looks to fit, what is expected of a tight end in this offense. I just want to make sure I give credit to whoever asked the question. That would be Hokey Duck. So I don't know if he's a Vatek and a Oregon guy, or maybe Vatek and he's a Duck Dodges guy. And I really want to see Zach Hines make it. I think he'll be a steal out of South Dakota State. Great story for NFL Films one day. This is the time for dreams, right? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The Austin Eckler dream. It's the one we always point to because it's with the Chargers and ended up becoming the most productive back in the NFL for a 2-year span when it comes to touchdowns. So, yes, this is the time to dream, and certainly we're pulling for him as well. I'm trying to see where else I might be able to get this. Where's my depth chart? Of course, every time I do this, I get caught up and I mess up. And here we go. So they listed as 3 receivers: Palmer, Chark, and Quentin Johnston. That's a bit of an injury concern, is that I have not seen Ladd in a week. So don't quite know, as Jim Harbaugh says, all he's telling us is he's working through something, but we know what Ladd was at Georgia. He was the best receiver they had on the team. It's tough for him to stay on the field. So whatever it is, you hope it's precautionary because he was really having a great camp. And I think we're going to see a lot of Quentin Johnston. I do. I think we're going to see him get some reps because based on when Ladd was healthy, he was the 4th guy. And so my guess is they want to get him out there. They want to get him in pads. We saw a little bit of a difference, in OTAs. Look great. Before they put pads on, look great. Pads came on. Some of the issues came up again. He's had some great moments, some really great moments. Want to make sure I mention that, but then also kind of some of those drops that have been highlighted. I think it's an opportunity for him just to push that aside and get people to stop talking about it by going out there in the preseason game, especially on some of these quick hitters, what he's great at, get those quick slants and pick up 10, 15 yards after catch. So I think we're going to see him quite a bit. They have it listed as J.K. Dobbins or Gus Edwards as the starter. And to me, that's the big one, Lo, is these running backs. To me, they're all bunched together.
And they look good.
Vidal, they look good.
Run. They let them run. Both those guys were out there in the scrimmage, so you saw Gus, you saw those guys getting some totes. I'm going to tell you who's going to get some burn in the preseason. He's going to get burned, or are they going to hide him? Is Rice. I watched him run he ran some good routes. His dad got on me because he just kind of thought he was Jerry, and he put his hands back and he dropped the ball because he was really, I saw him separate. I saw the route running. He's in and out of breaks. He's a pretty good route runner, pretty smooth. I was kind of shocked. I kind of impressed. So I think that you're going to see a guy either get a lot of reps or they're going to hide this guy because I see this guy making some plays.
I'm with you. I brought it up on the radio show with Petros because he was nice enough to come out and join us at one of our live events, and a great guy, real nice. I don't want to say kid. He's older than a kid, but he's a young player.
I get it.
But I think it's I hate when people say this because it makes no sense. It's like it's a jump in competition. It's stupid to say he's going to be a better pro than a college. But here's what I mean by that. He plays in Lincoln Riley's offense. It's spread out. There's almost no contact. It's throw to the open man, and there's open men all over the field. Lincoln does a great job of scheming it up. And so then you go to the combine and you post those combine numbers, and that's how you slip to the 7th round. They watch the tape, and you're wide open on half those times. Well, you get into an NFL training camp where it's physical, where you're asked to run block, and he's doing it. And he's busting people. And that's what I mean by, better pro. Because He likes the physicality. He's good at getting off press. He's great with contact down the field, doesn't lose his focus, finds the ball, brings it in, secures it. He's a better pro. He's a better
Agreed with you.
pro. And it's going to end up, I'm with you, Lo. It's going to end up being a steal, this guy. He's going to end up being a steal because it was just one of those, the tape just showed a lot of wide open catches and touchdowns. And then the combine was one thing. And he gets out there and you get to see, oh, he's big and he's physical and he doesn't mind the contact at all. And that's how you end up finding that steal in the 7th round.
No question. Money, stand on that soapbox. You jump on that because a lot of people are like, oh, well, he's not that good and maybe he's a little light and all those different things. And is he going to be able to handle the game? No, you stand on it. What you've seen, I've seen that too. So I think that, if it's people like, well, I didn't think he's going to do that. No, I think you great assessment by you. This guy, he's going to, without a doubt, he is going to be a better pro. You watch him. Attention to detail. You watch him try to block. You try to see him stick and stay. Receivers, you just want to be busy. Stick and stay. Be busy work. And you seeing him stay on guys, doing the right thing, swinging his hips, doing those things. Like you said, on one-on-one, understanding how to beat press coverage. I'm watching him, take guys one extra step, come back down the hill. He's doing a lot of small things, like you're saying, attention to details, but he's going to be a better pro player than college. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Finishing out the offense. I'm glad you brought that up because I missed it. Yeah, so keep an eye on Brendan Rice. There's another receiver that I like a lot too. 39, Jalen Johnson. Sticky hands, man. Sticky hands. Catches everything. Undrafted free agent. So keep an eye on 39. Brendan Rice is 82. We talked about Quentin. The backs love Jarrett Patterson, 34. Now, he's tough. And you said it, little. He's got to be clocking in at what, 5'6", maybe 5'7"?
Right.
But man, tough. And again, good hands out of the backfield. So that's enough. That group of 4, 28, 30, 34, 42. Spiller, Vidal, who's been hurt, so I don't know if he's going to play, Patterson, and Dotson. That's going to be fun to watch because to me, I don't see who number 3 is yet. Jarrett Patterson's been the best player of them. So I don't know how that's all going to shake out, but that's one to keep an eye on. 71. We've talked about it before, Lo. I saw McFadden get a little pass out of the flat. Yeah. And he dropped the first one. Second one ends up catching. So keep an eye on 71. Jordan McFadden played a little bit of guard. Fella. He's big, 300 pounds. So I'm anxious to see if they use him on that front. Carson Barnhart on the offensive line, 61. He got healthy. He's been good. He's been moving up, back and forth with sort of Trey being out. Trey Pickens has been out, and with Slater and just kind of the way they're moving it around. They're moving Bozeman to a little bit of guard, letting Hymas play center. So it'll be fun to watch those combinations as we shift to defense. Seeing who the edge player, Tremont Morris Brash, has flashed a little bit, undrafted free agent. So that's a guy that you might want to keep an eye on. Tremont Morris Brash, 57. And because, I don't know how much Thule and Bud and those guys are going to play, but that's something I would probably watch. And I think we kind of already mentioned the corners. Yeah, that's pretty much it, man.
I got a question for you because I was out there talking to my buddy Terry Killens. We and him played in Titans together.
Okay.
The official. He was the official, number 77. Right. The brother. Yeah. So we were playing. He's like, I said, man, so he had a great time. Took a picture with Terry Killens being out. That kickoff return. What did you think about watching the kickoff return?
Weird.
It's going to be I think record how many touchdowns returns, and it's going to be some huge collisions too, because guys going to miss blocks and they're going to be fumbling with the ball. I think you're going to have some big hits. I think you're going to have a lot of time. I think you're going to every week there will be a kickoff. I'm going to make this bet. What do you think, Matt?
This is crazy now.
I'm going to say every other week in the NFL, there will be a kickoff return. I'm going to make that bet. You want to take that? You're with me?
So you're saying we're going to have, bet online. We're going to have 18 weeks. We're going to have 9 kickoff return touchdowns this year.
Easy. I would take the over.
Okay.
What are you going to go? Over, under? Where are you at?
Yeah, I just don't know. Like, that's a thing. Like, I can't figure it out. It looks so weird.
It's weird, man. It's so weird. It's like you're everyone's frozen in time. You're like, okay, the ball kick, and it's like, wait, Matt, it's got to be over 9 because the returner, he's going to be hitting at full speed. Guys are just going to be coming off blocks. They're going to have to arm tackle. They're not going to be able to beat guys clean enough. I don't think you're going to see a lot of squibby kind of kicks, and hopefully guys fumble it around for guys can beat the blockers. But if not, I would say, I would say, if you told me 10, I would say I'd take the over.
Yeah, I liked. I don't know if you saw what Sean Payton said, but his big thing was it's got to be punitive if you don't get it in the landing zone. These kickers are going to try to game it, like you said. They're going to try to squib it. They're going to try to do all these different things to gain the advantage. And Peyton's like, hey, if it does not land in the designated landing zone, you should put it at the 35. It's got to be punitive. The kicker has got to. You can't give them all the advantage to take the risk because whatever. If it doesn't go there, you put it at the 25. Who cares? It's better than popping it in there. And like you said, getting one of these returns to pop for a touchdown. So obviously they can't change it now, but it's interesting that he would mention that because that's like, Peyton's brilliant. And that's kind of where his mind's gone. It's like, okay, I see where the advantage is going to be. Just tell your kicker, listen, whatever you do not give them an opportunity to return it because if it comes up short, so what? They put it at the 25. I don't care. The last thing I need is for you to drop this thing in there. And like you said, this returner is firing off the ball. They get the blocks and we lose on a special teams touchdown. That I wish I could say, hey, I'm anxious to see it in the preseason, but I just think there is so much scheming and an advantage trying to be built in for these first 3-4 weeks that they're not going to show you anything. They're playing this thing straight, nothing creative. So I wouldn't get discouraged if you're watching and you want to see one of these things pop and it doesn't. And I think it's just because they're playing their cards close to the vest. They don't want to show you kind of some of the things they're thinking of how they might be able to gain an advantage. Let's wrap with a couple things here. I feel like this is from Jeff, YouTube comment. I feel like McConkey's ceiling is higher than Keenan's. Keenan's bigger, but Ladd is quicker, faster. Keenan's potential Hall of Fame receiver. I'd just say, I'm excited. I'm excited at how advanced Ladd is as a rookie. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. He certainly seems like he is way ahead of where a rookie receiver should be.
Oh, he is. And you see that. It's undoubtedly the guy's way ahead. You watch how smooth he is at breaking that, stacking guys, getting guys right behind him and stacking them. And now they're behind there in a trail position. He does a great job of getting on top of the DB. And now when you get on top of them, they're losing. You can't be right. And that's what he does. He does a great job of stacking guys. You watch his Ladd's route running. It's really like a veteran type of guy. Yeah. So once he comes out of his break, you're going to have separation. If he stacks, he's leaving.
Yeah, no doubt. And he just got to get healthy. So get him ready for week 1 because I think he and Herbert going to have a special connection together. Here we go. This is from Jose. Well, it says Jose. Okay, Jose, yeah. Great show again. Question for Money or Low. Why is Khalil wearing pants that differ from the rest of the team? Considering Coach Harr wants everyone on the team to be in unison. I was just curious. I noticed his pants appear to have pads in them similar to the regular game pants. Question's probably already been asked. Thanks. You want to answer that one,
Money? Tell us the story, Money. You can tell that story.
I don't know if I can. I don't know if we can.
I don't know either.
I don't know. I'll just say this, Jose. I think you see certain vets. They've accomplished enough where if they come to you and say, "Hey, this is important to me. Like this is really something that I need." Like it's just, I think that's when a coach like Harbaugh, who played, looks at a Khalil Mack and it's like, okay, if it's that important, then we'll make it work. That's
you got 100 sacks in your career. I think that he's earned that. And the thing about Khalil, he's going to be attention to detail. This guy is a professional. He's the ultimate pro. So I think that he probably had a conversation with the head coach and coach like, hey, man, hey, I'd like for you guys to be this way, but if you really need that and that's what you feel comfortable doing, hey, Khalil, we're not going to stop you. I could see if it was a rookie, he hasn't earned that, but Khalil's earned that, and he's not a guy that's trying to be different. It's just something he's comfortable in.
Right. And to me, I think you just say, you know what? It's good that what I would say to the guys is, hey, it's good he's wearing it. So you know where he is. Watch what he does. You see what he does in practice? Watch the guy in the sweatpants and just do what he does. And if you do that, then we're good. So I don't mind him wearing those pants because you're always going to be able to find him. You're always going to be because he works his tail off out there. That is not a guy that takes it easy in practice. He gets after it. So that to me is I don't know the answer, Jose, but that's what I speculate is Khalil. These guys who achieve all of this stuff, they have their routine, they're set, and it's been proven. And so it's one of those where you just say, hey, this is what I do. This is kind of so. All right, Lindsay, I Bleav you said we have one of our fancy phone calls. We got ourselves a little voicemail here that wants to address something.
Tom Lytle from NoCal. Two-part question, gentlemen. Matt, I was just wondering how much time does it take to prepare for like this first preseason game coming up with the size of the rosters and the players? And then on the flip side of that, Lo, how much pressure is on some of these rookies going into this first game? Love the show, guys. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye.
Lo, why don't you go first?
Yeah, Tom, it's a great question. I think preseason, I'll tell you how long it takes. No time at all. You don't prepare for preseason. You don't put in a necessarily game plan because it's preseason. You're working now. What you will be putting in is the things that you're getting ready for the first week and second week. That's what you're preparing for. Preseason, look, you're going to run out there and going to run your basic offense, basic defense. You are not preparing for, you want guys to, here's the plays that we're going to run. We're going to run these plays, and it's going to be just like a practice. You are not scheming at preseason at all. In 17 years of playing, I never had a coach say, here's the game plan, here's our first 12 preseason. No, because it's really not important. You might do the first 5 or 6 if you want to, but it's nothing for that preseason game. You're preparing for week 1. But in the pressure that's on the rookies, it's just, that's why you're not preparing. It's like, hey, look, guys, go out there and play. Coach Harbaugh and the coaching staff is saying, look, you're going out here to play. I want you to play loose. I want you to play free. That's what it's about. So I don't think it's about preparing for the preseason game. It's just doing your job and doing it the best of your ability. That's what preseason is about.
Yeah, so I think perhaps in case I misunderstood it, I think he's asking me how long it takes me with 90-man rosters and how long does it take me to prepare? And the answer, Tom, is a while. 90 guys. That's why I'm kind of walking around at practice like, hey, is he going to play? Is he going to play? I want to try to trim that thing down so my board doesn't have 90 dudes on it here. I'll give you a little visual. I think I got.
I couldn't do it, Money. I don't know how you do it with 90 guys because this.
So I got one here. This isn't is this a preseason? No, this is a regular season. Yeah, this looks like it could be a preseason. There's a lot of stickers on here. Yeah, so this is definitely a preseason game. Oh, you know what? This was for like a scrimmage. So yeah, but this is still an idea of how much, and all that stuff is just manually entered into there. So that's kind of so the idea is offense, defense. So when I'm calling the game, I'm looking at it and I can say, all right, tackle by Amen Ogbongbemiga. He's rookie, undrafted out of Okie State, was team captain, all Big 12. And this is a guy that born in Nigeria, ends up moving to Houston, gets to Calgary, and somehow gets on Mike Gundy's radar. So like that's the kind of stuff because it's a preseason game. So you need to have those nuggets. You're not really talking about a competitive game, Tom. So yeah, so that's when you got a board that looks like that, you want to try to trim it as best as possible.
Wow, man, I didn't know you had that much color for preseason. I didn't know that that's pretty intense.
Because, and for this first game, we're simulcasting. So I'm doing the TV and the radio feed. So it'll be me, DJ, and Dan Fouts on CBS, and it'll be simulcast on Alt 98.7 for the radio portion of it. So it's going to be more of that story time because of the, TV. You don't need to talk about, bunch formation to the right, over route, inside left. It's none of that because you can see it. So it's a lot of the nuggets, like Ben DeLuca, the rookie out of Charlotte, was their all-time leading tackler. And, it's things like that you want to make sure you can share if there's some downtime. The good thing is, for me, football is an analyst sport. Basketball is a play-by-play sport. So in football, typically it's the analyst that has to do more because it's chess, and you have to explain the movement of the chessboard. That's what's more interesting.
What's tougher, Matt? Well, now you got me interested. Is basketball tougher than
it's different. It's different,
it's so much
right?
faster.
Yeah. So it's, for me, I'm all about, people don't care about me. They care about you. You're the one that's going to explain it to them. So I'm just keeping their mind's eye engaged as to what they would be watching if they saw it on TV. But I just want to get out of the way so the analyst can explain it, because that's more interesting than me calling it. So in basketball, it's very hard to get out of the way because it's just back and forth. And so constantly I'm fighting with myself to try to lay out and to force my analyst to talk like, hey, don't worry. I know the ball's being whipped around the 3-point line, but I'm good. If anything happens, I'll jump in break it down. Whereas football, it's easy. It's mine from when they break huddle until when the ball is spotted. It's mine. From that moment when the ball is spotted, when they're in the huddle, when they're it's the analyst. It's formatted. So, when a touchdown is scored, then I'm going to call a touchdown, and then I'm going to sit out, I'm going to lay out, and then I'm going to get a second call in there, touchdown Chargers ball, lay out. Justin Herbert with his 22nd touchdown of the year, Keenan Allen with his 10th grab, and the Chargers are up 13-10, and then I lay out, and then the analyst comes in. And so, you just have this dance that you do.
Do you talk to Dan? For instance, you're doing it with Dan Fouts. Do you say, hey, Danny, this is I'm letting you know? Do you talk to him before that, or do you kind of say, look?
Everybody knows. Yeah, everybody. It'll be tricky because Dan, although last year we did it for the first time with Dan and DJ. So when you have two analysts, typically what'll happen is you'll either set the order before, but usually it's Dan and DJ, just pointing at each other, you go while I'm finishing the call, and it's a gain of 4, second down and while I'm saying second down and 6, Dan will be like you, or DJ will be like you, and because I let them figure that out. They don't, because I don't know if he's got something to say. So it's they're both ready to break down the play. It's just whichever one wants to take it first.
And one more question, Matt, you got me. I'm sorry. So with that being said, when do you say, okay, can you play that back? How do you know? How are you guys on the same page to roll this play again?
Yeah, so that's up to the analyst. So you got to talk back. So you got to talk back to the truck, and you're like, hey, I want to break that one down, and they'll cue it up, and maybe it'll be ready to go before they break huddle, or they'll get in his ear and say, after the next play.
After the next play, we'll bring.
Yeah, okay. So I'll call it. All right, 2nd and 6. Hand off to Gus Edwards. Picks up 5. Going to bring up a 3rd and 1. And Dan will say, I'm going to go back to that play 2 plays ago. I saw something that jumped out at me, Matt. Check this out. And then he'll draw it up on the telestrator, and they'll roll it. So there's a lot going on. You got to be able to talk while there's somebody talking in your ear. That's the biggest trick with TV. Is they're always like, we're going to go to a wash. And then you're going to have 10, I'm in the middle of calling the play, and they're like, hey, we're coming to a wash, exterior. You're going to have 9 seconds. We'll flash the score. And then it's because you got to hit the hard out. So it's all right, beautiful night here in Los Angeles. You see Lake SoFi right there. We like to call it Lake Rivers in these parts. And the Chargers lead the Seahawks 10-7. More second quarter action coming up here on CBS. Whatever.
Great.
There we go. There we go.
I need to puff on my cigar after that, man. I need to puff the cigar.
Hey, you enjoy your desert pool life with your fancy vacation house, Lo. I'm back to the grind. I got to get ready for these production meetings tomorrow with Coach Harbaugh and coordinators Jesse Minner and Greg Roman, and ready for this preseason game. Excited about it. We're excited that all you're here. We went a little bit long today, but hey, football's back, and we'll be able to break this game down next week. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate you. Yep. Enjoy the pool life. I can hear it in the background, Lo. Go on. Get that shirt off. Get in your Shea Lounge with your mimosa, and enjoy your afternoon. All right, everybody. Thanks for downloading, listening, rating, reviewing, passing on the word. We appreciate you. We'll be back again next week with more Bleav in Chargers.